Welcome to Short Movie Channel. The movie story begins in 2017 at an engagement party. The bride excitedly tells the guests how she first met her fiancé at a Halloween party 3 years ago. As she shares the story, Noah, her friend who secretly loves her, recalls that same Halloween night when he first met Avery. Back then, Noah accidentally spilled his drink on Avery, which led to them striking up a conversation about costumes. Each of them admired the other's choice, and they continued chatting. Avery mentioned that she had come to the party with her friend Carrie, who had since left her to be with someone else. Later, she suggested they find a quieter place to talk. Noah took her to the jazz lounge where he worked as a pianist. He played and sang a song for her, which she loved. Just before he finished playing, Avery pulled him to a photo booth to take a picture together as a keepsake. While there, Noah confessed that he had never been in a relationship before. Avery called him sweet, and soon after, the two headed to Avery's house. They played around and talked in the kitchen while eating. During their conversation, Avery shared that she organized charity work for children, the elderly, and even animals. As Noah attempted to get closer to her, the memory suddenly cut off, bringing us back to the present, at her engagement party. At the party, Avery introduced her fiancé, Ethan, to everyone, leaving Noah heartbroken. He started drinking heavily to drown his sorrow, downing one drink after another until he ended up finishing an entire bottle. Eventually, he stumbled into the bathroom, feeling sick. Carrie found him and checked on him, and soon after, Ethan joined them, offering Noah some vitamins, a bottle of water, and salty crackers to help him recover. Avery and Ethan then left to mingle with the guests while Noah watched them from afar, feeling devastated. Ethan told his fiancée that his family approved of their engagement, and then he left the bathroom, casually telling Noah, "Take care, buddy." Later, Carrie, who was also leaving early, offered to drop Noah home. However, he refused, saying he would call for a ride instead. But when his phone accidentally fell into his drink, he ended up accepting her offer. As they left the party, Noah grabbed a framed photo of Avery and Ethan and kissed it. During the car ride, he confessed to Carrie that he was in love with Avery and asked her to drop him off at the jazz lounge instead of his house. Completely drunk, Noah struggled to walk, so Carrie helped him inside. There, he ran into his friend Max, who was the vice president of the company where he worked. When Carrie was about to leave, Noah begged her to stay so he could tell her how he and Avery first met. He then started reminiscing about their time together, feeling the pain of his heartbreak as he remembered how Avery had only ever seen him as a friend. He had walked away from her that night deeply hurt. The next morning, Noah went to the supermarket to buy food. But as he grabbed his groceries, he suddenly realized something was off. He was reliving that same day from 3 years ago. At first, he thought he was imagining things, but when he checked a newspaper at the store, it showed the date, October 31st, 2014. The cashier even confirmed that it was the correct date. To further prove it, the drink Noah was looking for wasn't even in stock yet, as it hadn't been released at the time. Panicked, Noah grabbed the newspaper and rushed to see his friend Max at the office. To his shock, he discovered that Max was still just a regular employee and had not yet been promoted to vice president. Max didn't believe a word Noah was saying. Then, Noah spotted Carrie on the street, taking part in a photo shoot near their workplace. He ran to her, claiming they knew each other, but when she had no idea who he was, he started feeling like he was losing his mind. That's when it hit him. He had traveled back in time to the night he first met Avery. Realizing he now had the chance to change things, he saw this as an opportunity to make Avery fall in love with him. Determined, he dressed up and went to the Halloween party that night. When he met Avery, he impressed her by talking about her interests and pretending they had a lot in common. She was amazed by how much they shared, just as before. Following the same events as their first meeting, they ended up at the jazz lounge, and then they took photos together in the booth, just like last time. Then they go to Avery's house, and there, Carrie interrupts them. As soon as she sees him, she thinks he's the same strange guy who approached her that morning and told her something she didn't understand. Avery realizes that Noah is a crazy person who's been stalking her, which is why he knows everything about her and her interests. The two of them start screaming, and Carrie hits him on the head with the car door, making him lose consciousness. The next morning, when he wakes up, he thinks it was all just a dream. So, he sends Avery a message apologizing for how he acted at her engagement party. But then he gets a reply from her that makes him realize he's the one opening the door, discovering that today is actually the day of the engagement party, back in 2017. Noah realizes he's the same weird guy who had been stalking her 3 years ago. This time, she also hits him, but with a plant. Then, Ethan ties him up, and they try to keep him under control. But Noah manages to break free and run away. When he gets home, he desperately tries to understand what happened. How did he time travel? He heads back to the photo booth, trying to return to 2014. When he checks the date on his phone, he confirms that he actually made it back. Then, he calls his friend Max and asks him what he should do to impress a girl. Max tells him to act calmly, be polite, and that's what attracts women. So, when Noah meets Avery at the party, he mocks her outfit, grabs 2 big bottles, and tells her that if she asks him anything, he'll give her another bottle. She gets mad, insults him, and leaves. He follows her but keeps acting in a sarcastic, annoying way. Avery shoves him into the pool. When he asks for her help to get out, he pulls her in with him. They argue at first, but then they make up and head back to Avery's place. In the next scene, Noah wakes up and finds himself lying next to Avery. When he looks at his phone, he realizes it's 2017 again. He's overjoyed because he thinks he's finally with Avery. But then Avery tells him that they're not in a serious relationship, that they only see each other occasionally, and that he's not the person she wants to spend the rest of her life with. She's still looking for the right guy. But for Noah, all that matters is that he's with her. Then, he realizes his life has completely changed. He has become a careless guy. Around that time, Ethan and Carrie show up at Avery's house. Noah finds out that Avery and Ethan are actually close friends. Later, the 4 of them go running and playing sports. Noah starts singing while Ethan is running, but Ethan trips and falls. Carrie stays behind with him, while Avery and Ethan continue running. Noah tells Carrie that he loves Avery and wants to be the guy of her dreams. Carrie tells him that Avery is looking for a good guy with a stable life to settle down with. So, Noah decides to become that guy. He returns to the photo booth and time travels back to 2014 again. When he wakes up, he goes to Max's office and applies for a job there. That night, he attends a Halloween party to meet Avery. The two of them talk and, as usual, end up at the bar. There, he tells her that he used to work at a bar but quit so he could focus on his new job and build a stable life, becoming a successful man. When Avery hears this, she rests her head on his shoulder, and they hold hands. 3 years later, in 2017, Noah wakes up in his office and realizes that he has gained weight but has also become rich. He sees an invitation card for his engagement party with Avery. When he gets home, he's shocked by how big and bulky he's become. Then, Avery comes downstairs, greets him, and shows him the dome she ordered for their engagement party, with their picture on it. Noah is extremely happy. At that moment, TG and Nawaya discover that she's alive. Since he travels a lot for work, he's often away. One day, as he's heading to work, he notices an expensive car parked in front of his house, the same dream car he had always wanted as a kid. When he arrives at the office, he finds it empty. As he gets promoted to deputy manager, the Chinese CEO arrives. Nawaya is surprised when he realizes he can actually communicate in Chinese. Later, Maxi comes to Nawaya and accuses him of stealing his project, suspecting that he tricked their boss into hiring him at the company. Feeling angry, Maxi storms out of the office, while Nawaya, overwhelmed by stress, starts eating mindlessly. At that moment, his secretary comes in and reminds him about an important meeting. He then realizes that he has daily meetings and interviews scheduled for the next 3 months. When he asks if he can sneak out for half a day, his secretary tells him that if she lets him, she'll get fired. She also tells him about Diva, who used to work with them but was fired and is now homeless. This makes Nawaya feel even more burdened. At the engagement party, Nawaya arrives late and greets the guests and Avery's family. When he tries to play the piano and sing the song Avery first heard him sing when they met, he suddenly forgets both the tune and the lyrics, completely messing up the performance. He then goes looking for Ethan, and Carrie tells him Ethan is with Avery. Eventually, he finds him in the bathroom, trying to sneak off to the bedroom to rest. Nawaya takes him to his car to drive him home. On the way, Ethan confesses that he stole a plate from the engagement party. He also admits that he told Avery he loved her. When Nawaya asks how Avery responded, Ethan tells him that she said, "I wish things were different so we could be together." Hearing this, Nawaya feels heartbroken. Back at home, he talks to Carrie and asks her why Avery doesn't love him. Carrie tells him that Avery cares about him, but she's not in love with him. Nawaya admits that he enjoys talking to Carrie, and she responds, "Me too." Eventually, he accepts the fact that Avery deserves to be with the right person, even if that person isn't him. Determined to set things right, he decides to go back to 2014 one last time. This time, he acts wisely. He brings Ethan to the Halloween party and makes sure he meets Avery, then leaves them alone so they can talk. Meanwhile, he spends time with Carrie and realizes how much they have in common. They both enjoy music, and Carrie even knows how to play the piano. The two quickly bond. Later, Avery calls them over for a group photo in a photo booth with all four of them. They take the picture together, happy and smiling. When Nawaya wakes up, it's 2017 again. He discovers that his friendship with Max is still strong, and Ethan and Avery are now engaged. However, he and Carrie are not together. Instead, she is back with her ex-boyfriend. Feeling frustrated, Nawaya goes to her house and tells her that they are meant to be together. He pulls her close, trying to confess his love, but Carrie pushes him away, confused and surprised. Feeling lost, Nawaya meets up with an old friend. When he asks if she's happy with her life, she doesn't answer clearly. Hoping to fix things, he rushes to the photo booth, desperate to travel back in time again. But to his shock, the old booth is gone, replaced by a new one. He sits inside, drinking, completely out of ideas and feeling hopeless. Just then, Avery's friend Sandy tells him that she bought the old photo booth and sent it to his house as a gift. Excited, Nawaya realizes he still has one last chance to fix everything. He rushes home, steps into the booth, and travels back to 2014. But this time, he doesn't change a thing. He lets everything unfold exactly as it did the first time. He watches as Avery and Ethan's engagement happens naturally. Afterward, he talks to Carrie, and they get along well. He finally asks her out on a date, and soon, they start a relationship. And that's how our story ends. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.